different percentage of the cells, whether it is neutrophil, how many neutrophil are there, how many lymphocyte are there, how many monocyte are there, and then accordingly in the result you will write their respective percentage. Like for example, the most abundant white blood cell that is present in your blood, it is of course it is the neutrophil, right? It is about 50 to 70% of the WBCs are neutrophils. About 20 to 40% of the WBCs are lymphocytes, 2 to 8% are monocyte, and then 1 to 4% are eosinophils. And the basophils are very rare. They are, in fact, they are less than 1%, only 0.5% you can say. Okay. So in that you will be counting the number of cells, and of course you will also have to learn and memorize the causes of increase and decrease in the cell count of each particular cell. Like for example, uh, let's say neutrophil. Now if the neutrophil are in excess percentage, like suppose more than 70%, like suppose they are 80% or 90%, you are finding neutrophil, that means it is the neutrophilia. So you will have to learn a few, maybe 2-3 causes at least for your viva, because in your viva it will be asked that what are the causes of neutrophilia. Then similarly, if the neutrophil count decreases, then you will be asked, okay, what is the cause of neutropenia, right? So there are different causes, some infective causes, others like that, acute infection, chronic infection, etc., etc. So all those causes, right? Similarly for other cells also, like increase in lymphocyte, it will be lymphocytosis, eosinophilia, like all those things. Okay. So you will have to memorize the causes of increase and decrease in the cells. Okay, that is important from your viva point of view, exam point of view. Okay. Then after DLC, next practical will be the RNeth count. Now in the RNeth count, it is very similar to DLC. Again, you will have to count 100 cells, but the only thing is in DLC you are counting 100 WBCs, right? But in RNeth count, you will count 100 neutrophils, and you will have to see according to the different number of lobes, because neutrophil is having the multi-lobe nucleus, right? Starting from one lobe, and it can go on to 2 lobe, 3 lobe, 4 lobe, 5 lobe. Even there are cases where you can see 6 lobe neutrophil also. Okay. So you will have to write, like if it is 1 lobe neutrophil, you will write N1. If it is 2 lobe, you will write N2. If it is 3 lobe, you will write N3. Maximum, the majority of the neutrophils are trilobe neutrophil, right? It is functionally the most active. Okay. So that was the RNeth count. Then next you will move on to the estimation of hemoglobin. Now estimation of hemoglobin will be done by the Sahli's method. Everything is mentioned in your books, so there is nothing to worry about. We will explain you the procedure over here, and once you offline, when physically you will be coming to the lab, then again we will just revise it, and then you will perform the experiment. All right. So estimation of hemoglobin you will do. Okay. After that, next topic will be the determination of the blood group. Now, I'm sure most of you might be knowing your own blood group, but maybe there might be some students who might not know their blood group. So this is a good opportunity of doing this practical, and by doing that, you will be able to find out what is your blood group, whether it is A positive or B positive or O positive, whatever it is. Right. So after blood group, then next will be the BTCT, that is the bleeding time and clotting time, right? So bleeding time, of course, it depends upon the platelets, and whereas the clotting time, it depends upon the clotting factors, right? So you will be doing the bleeding time and clotting times, right? That is one practical. And after that, we will move on to improved Newbar's chamber. Okay, and TLC, that is a total leukocyte count. Newbar's chamber, basically it is a counting chamber. It is made of thick glass slide. Okay, and of course you will be sucking the blood from your fingers with the help of pipette, and you will be charging the chamber, and then you will be counting the cells under the microscope. All right. So and then, so that was it. In that turn, you will be knowing about the Neubauer's chamber and the TLC. Okay, then on the next turn, we will do the TRBC, that is total red blood cell count, erythrocyte count. Okay, so that is also one more interesting thing. You will be able to visualize uh, the red blood cells and you can count them. Okay, then after RBC, then it is the absolute eosinophil count. Again, this will be done by the Neubauer chamber method. You will be taking the sample of your blood and you will be counting the eosinophils. Okay, so absolute eosinophil count, that is another very important uh, practical. After eosinophil count, then you will be doing the platelet count. Now, platelet count is done by two methods: the direct method and the indirect method. The direct method will be using the improved Neubauer's counting chamber, whereas in the indirect method, we will be making the peripheral blood smear. We will be using a is 2% sodium citrate, that is anticoagulant, and we will be making a blood smear, and then we will be counting of course, we will be counting the RBCs and the platelets that we will be able to see. Okay, and after that, next topic is your will and put on different slides, and we will use different concentration of saline. Apart from 0.9%, that is isotonic saline, you will be using one hypertonic, that is 4%, and one hypotonic saline, that is 0.4%. And then you will mix the two and put the cover slip and observe under the microscope, and you will be observing that how the red blood cell is behaving, whether it is uh, you know swelling up and bursting, or whether it is shrinking in size according to the concentration of the solution, the saline. Okay, so that is osmotic fragility. Then next you will be doing the Heman crystals. Another very simple experiment, nothing to do, just you have to take blood drop on the slide, you have to allow it to dry and put some glacial acetic acid, and of course you will have to heat it a little bit, and then you will have to see it under the microscope. So you'll be seeing some crystals, rhomboid or prismatic crystals, that confirms that this blood sample that has been taken, it belongs to a human. Okay, human blood. Right after human crystals, there are some topics, some demonstration topics, which you do not have to perform. Just you have to listen, and we will teach you. Okay, so there is reticulocyte count. We will be teaching you. Okay, so you just have to listen and just understand and complete your manual. The reticulocyte count, then it will be the ESRNP right? Then next it will be the absolute blood indices, okay, like the MCV, mean corpuscular volume, MCH, mean corpuscular hemoglobin, and then the third one is, which is very important, that is the MCHC, or mean corpuscular anemia. Okay, then after blood indices, you have the pregnancy tests and the semen analysis, and lastly automation in hematology. So all those are just short topics, just demo topics we will be teaching you, and you will be just reading about it, understanding, and completing your lab manual. Okay, right. So those were the topics that will be taught to you during your stay in the hematology lab, right? And if you are having any problem, I am there to help you. Dr. Vipin is there. Dr. Rubina is there. Okay, we will help you with the experiments. If there is any doubt, you are having any query, all right, so will be available. And some things I have noted down, the things that you are supposed to bring during your hematology lab, when you are, especially when you are coming physically to the hematology lab. So please kindly note down. So this is very important, right? The first thing that you have to bring is, of course, your lab manual that you will get from the the department, right? So lab manual is very important. And so lab manual, you have to keep a record of whatever the practical is taught to you. Of course, the topics are mentioned in the lab manual. You just have to, there are questions at the end of each topic in the lab manual. So you read those questions, you find out the answers, and you write the answers. And you have to bring the manual to us, either to me or to Dr. Rubina or to Dr. Vipin, right? So we will check those manuals and we will sign it. So okay, yeah. And wherever necessary, you will have to draw the diagrams. Okay. In the manual, suppose you have to draw a diagram of the various cells, observation. Very important, you will have to bring apron. There will be no entry without apron inside the lab. So I'm very particular about it. So please wear the apron when you will be coming to the lab. Next thing is your logbook. Of course, you will be given the logbook from the department. So you will have to fill it time to time and get it signed by us. Okay. And then next thing, very, very important thing, without which you cannot do any practical in the hematology lab, and that is your pricking needle. All right. So please make note of it. Pricking needle, either 22 gauge or 24 gauge needle. It is very cheap, available in any medical store, any chemist shop, either 1 rupee or 2 rupee, you can get it. So I suggest you buy a pack of maybe 15-20 needles and keep it inside your bag, so that whenever you come to the hematology lab, you can just take it out and you can use it. Okay. So pricking needle is very, very, very important. It is absolutely necessary. Without pricking needle, you cannot do any experiment inside the hematology lab. Okay. So that is the number one thing that is you have to keep in mind. Next is a very important thing. You have to bring handkerchief or either some cotton cloth. Okay, that is important. Why? Because you will be washing the glass slides in order to make the peripheral blood smear. So once you wash the glass slide, it will be wet. So you have to allow it to dry. So in order to dry the glass slide, you can use your cotton cloth or your handkerchief. That is of course important. So please bring that. Okay, so those were the things that you have to bring, and needless to say that please try to come to the lab on time. Okay, please don't be late. Those are all the things you already know. Then, okay, regarding, so today's topic, just a very small brief introduction I'll be giving you of this. So you all know this is compound microscope. Okay. Okay, so compound microscope, very, very important thing that is used inside the lab. Okay, so I'll just mention you about the parts of this microscope and how you can use it. Right, starting with, so this, as you can see, this right here, this is the base of the microscope and it provides stability. Right, you can just keep it on the table like this. Then next is where I have, I'm holding this microscope with the help of this arm. This is the arm. Okay, you can call it the arm or the handle also, okay, but it is better to call it the arm. So this is the arm of the microscope, and it is attached to the base with the help of a hinge. So hinge means you can just rotate the microscope like this. See? Can you see? इसको ऐसा से कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. So there is a hinge over here. So arm is attached to the base with the help of hinge. Then of course, after the arm you have this tube. So this part is known as the tube. So there is a outer body tube and there is one inside sliding tube inside this body tube, right? Okay, and we have adjusting knobs. Okay, these are serious. And with the condenser of the microscope, it basically it regulates the amount of light that is reaching the stage on which your slide will be kept. Okay, so more light, less light, you can just the position of the condenser. You have to keep in mind basically later. Then after this body tube, you can see over here this round thing. This is known as the revolving nose piece. Okay, see, it can be revolved like this, and there are three, cylindrical lens. Those are known as the objective lens. Okay, so three lens we have, starting with the low power, that is the 10x, then moving on to the high power, that is the 40x, and finally the third type of lens, objective lens, that you will see over here is the 100x lens, or you can also known as the oil immersion lens, right? Okay, so three types of lens you can move. So this, if you move this revolving nose piece clockwise, you can change the lens that you want to see. Suppose we'll starting with the 10x lens, that is a low power, right? Okay, so this right here, what I'm holding, this black thing, this is known as the stage. So there are two types of stage. This is the fixed stage, and then what you can see over here, this thing, this is the mechanical stage. Now mechanical stage means I can just adjust my glass slide, which part of my glass slide I want to see. I can move it left and right. I can move it forward and backward, right? So there are two types of motions I can do with the help of this mechanical stage, that is the forward and backward and the left and right, so that I can adjust the area of the glass slide that I want to see, right? Okay, so below the stage, again you can see this is the condenser. Condenser is having this small aperture. This is known as the iris aperture. Okay, it basically controls the amount of light that is coming from the source and reaching the object. Okay, and below the condenser you can see this is the mirror, right? This is the mirror. So there are two types of mirrors over here. One is the concave mirror and one is the plane mirror. See, plane mirror and concave mirror. Now plane mirror is used when the source of light is like, suppose there is daylight, there is lots of light, then you can use the this plane this mirror. But if your source of light is very less, like suppose a small bulb or small tube light, okay, and so you have to maximize the amount of light that you want to reach or on the object, so then you will be using the concave mirror, so it will take the maximum light from the point source. So basically concave mirror is used when there is the source of light is a point source, and if it is a natural source of light, like suppose sunlight or whatever, then you can use the plane mirror, right? So this is the mirror, this is the condenser. First you can adjust the condenser with the help of this knob. This is the fixed stage. Then this right here is the mechanical stage, right? You can do forward and backward movement, okay, and left and right. Then these are the three objective lens you can see over here. See, I'm revolving those, okay. So 10x, 40x and 100x, three types of objective lens, okay. But here in this lab, for 100x you require the cedarwood oil, so we usually do not use 100x lens the lab. Usually we use only two types of lens, that is the 10x and the 40x, right? And here again it is the body tube, and this right here, one thing I forgot to tell you, this is the eyepiece. So eyepiece also having a magnification of 10x. इसकी power 10x होती है, right? So if you want to find out the magnification, you have to multiply the resolving power of of whatever lenses you are using. Suppose you are using 10x lens, so your magnification will be 10 into 10, that is 100. Suppose you are using 40x lens, then your magnification will be 40 into 10, that is 400, right? So that is the thing, right? So basically this compound microscope is a instrument which okay, so you can, it helps us to visualize the things that cannot be seen by the naked eye, right? Very small microorganisms, or the cells inside our body, which you cannot see with your naked eye, so that those are seen with the help of your microscope, right? So very important thing. It is given in your books, just read about the microscope, right? Any questions, any queries you may have, you can ask the chats, the comment section. Somebody has asking, sir, will the manual and logbook be given to us when we visit the college? Yes, of course, you will be given the manual and the logbook when you visit the college physically, right? So it will be given to you by the department. So nothing to worry about that. Voice is breaking frequently. Okay, maybe it might be due to this network problem. Okay. Right, so timings you have known for the hematology lab on Tuesday and Thursday it will be around I think 11:20. 11:20 onwards.
It's from 11:40 to 12:20.
11:40 to 12.
On
Okay.
Saturday it's 2:40 to 3:20.
Okay. So Tuesday and Thursday hematology lab will be 11:40 to 12:20, and on Saturday it will be
2:40 to 3:20.
2:40 to 3:20 p.m. on Saturdays, right? So we will be joining you through this online session, and we'll be teaching you about these various practicals and the the labs, the topics of the lab. So whatever I have told you, okay. So books you already know many times. They have been told to you which books to buy and read. So A.K. Jain textbook of physiology, and then of course other books like C.L. Ghai you can buy. If it is possible, then I request you to upload this session on WhatsApp, because the video gets paused many times. I don't know if it is possible or not.
We'll try.
We will try. Okay, then we will. Okay, so I'm going now, and we'll meet on Thursday morning.